Right, welcome to this brief overview of SANSCalc Online. We basically have developed the software to help you comply with SANS 204 and 10400 with regards to building energy efficiency. Right, as I said, it's an online application, so you go to the specific website. We're still in the beta phase at the moment, but typically it's on 99% completion. Right, so I'm going to just obviously, if you haven't registered, you go and register. Otherwise you can go and log in. Once you've logged in, you can then go and look at your company dashboard. Basically looking at the top is all your projects, which I am in now. Each project is listed, how many buildings, which city and climate zone this is in. Here you can edit or delete or create a new project. You can also see your company's project, obviously the other users that have worked on other projects also listed. You can also work on their projects if required. So two or more people can work on a similar project, i.e. you can do story 1 and the other guy can do story 2, or you can do building 1 and he can do building 2, and so on. Alright, just going back to my project, you also have the facility as administrator. I'm the administrator of this company, so I have the facility of activating and deactivating users. Right, and this is my personal password area where I can change passwords and so on. Right, so I'm going to go back to the my projects. I've previously set up a couple here, but I'm going to go and start a new project, just showing you the process. Right, so here I can start a new project. So it's my project 1. Select a province. What's handy here is as you select the province, it brings up a list of cities, and once you select OK here, it will automatically assign the climate zone based on the city that you've selected. And in saying that, if your city isn't here, use the closest one and also just let us know so we can add it. These little I buttons you can click on and it will just show you more information on the appropriate topic. You can click back on it and it will show you a bigger image of it, which you can just then close again. Right, so I'm going to save this. My building or my project is now in a certain climate zone, and I'm now ready to go and start or add some buildings. Alright, so there's my project. I can go and click into that project. You'll see at the top here is my project, and then the project, and then the buildings. Right, so this building over here, or button, is to add a building. You can either add a building manually or import data from a database file that got generated by exporting elements, fenestration elements specifically, from Revit into a DB file. And this DB file you can import as then it completes your completes 50% of your fenestration input, obviously increasing your speed in productivity. Right, so at this stage I'm just going to create a demo building and give it certain gross area. So this is the size of the building, including garages, etc. There is some tooltips all over the show which will guide you through the process. Right, the occupancy here is quite important. You just need to select the appropriate occupancy, and as you can't come back and go and edit this. Right, over here is again just an explanation on the appropriate or different occupancies. And once I've created this building, I can now go into it. You can also add additional buildings if required. Okay, so I'm going to go back into that demo project and building, and before I carry on, I just want to click back on that one, and it gives me a list of exports. Firstly, the reports, a docx is a Word document, PDF, and then obviously I can delete the building or go back and edit, say, the floor area, etc. Right. Okay, so once I'm in the building area here, you can see you've got different the modules, and also a little bit of an explanation on where to start and what to do. So at this stage I'm just going to go to the orientation module, and this is the building orientation. Currently it's undefined. You'll notice because if it's undefined, or you have not optimally oriented your building, this feedback at the bottom here is in orange, showing you that it needs attention. So what you could do is then you could change the orientation of your building on site, and then bring it over to SANSCalc, and then perhaps say I'm north oriented or optimal north. There's 6 cities within South Africa which has got various different optimal orientations, which we've also included here. So you can go through these and see if your city is there, and which is your optimal orientation. Right, so I'm going to say I've just got north oriented, and I'll go and save that. Right, so now I'm going it says here, please continue to the shading module. So great, it guides me through the process. Right, so once I'm into the shading module, you also can just look at some informational elements here, displaying certain values, and also certain concepts. Right, one important concept is if my building is in latitude 32, I've got a certain sun angle, and by taking that certain sun angle and using a tan value, or applying tan to that, you get a certain value. That value then gets calculated to define a p-value, and that p-value is basically the overhang of your north facing, or there's the p-value. Right, so in this shading module, it's basically shading of the northern facade, which is critical in the heat internally of your building, and you need certain shading devices or certain minimums that your north facing fenestration elements need to comply to. Now this shading module is not fenestration. We have a fenestration module still coming, but just to explain shading, it's a module on its own, specifically only for the elements on the northern facade, and we need a certain minimum value of shading device to protect that northern facade. So let's go in. Obviously I haven't added any stories, so I'm going to go and say this is my ground story. I'll go add that. What's also handy about this is that once I've added a fenestration element in the shading area, it will automatically appear in fenestration. Right, so no double work. Okay, so I'll go and select the story. I'll go select, it's a window, and this window it's got a certain positional number, it's got a certain height, certain width. The area here, you'll see these buttons also is more informative, which you can read through. It just describes that you can only add area if it's, say, a round window, and leave out say these width values, so that it can calculate the area, or it can calculate, or you've got the area. If you leave out area and you've got those two values, the width and the height, it automatically would calculate the area. Right, then the G value is basically the vertical distance from the top of the fenestration element to the underside of the shading device. I'm going to make that 0.3, and that gets added with the window element to get H, and then H gets included in the calculation to calculate the minimum P value. Right, so I'm going to just say the P value, that's the horizontal distance from the fenestration element to the outside of the shading device. So in my case, I'm going to make it 0.5 meter. I'll save that. Right, now based on the latitude of my building, via the city that I selected, it calculated a minimum p-value. So in this case, for my northern facade, I need a minimum p-value of 1.2 meter wide shading device. So currently I have 0.5 meter, so I need to go back into my plans and then just have a look in my design and just have a look at changing that. Right, it lists it here as well, and it gives you an orange feedback for you to then just make sure you apply some, it gives you attention, it needs more attention. So I'm going to go and say edit this. Right, and I'm going to say 0.2 meters. I've now done my homework, and I've added a shading device that's appropriate, and you'll notice that it's now green again, and I can carry on. Right, I've actually only added one fenestration element, but typically you would have more north facing elements, so you can either just copy this guy, or at the top here just create a new element. Right, making sure all of them pass. Right, just for time's sake, I'm going to carry on to the fenestration. So if I go over to fenestration, you'll again see some informational images over here. The roof line explanation, the p-value explanation. So the shortest distance, either like over here or over there, that is your minimum p-value. Alright, so okay, if I go back to shading, right, in fenestration, obviously in shading I actually have added a north story. If you have two stories, you can just add another one here, say first story, and you can click add. So now I've got two stories to go to, the current one, which is first story, or ground story. I'm just going to return back to ground story. Here I can edit the story name or totally delete the story if not required. Right, there's the mechanical, natural, and the floor area of that story. Right, as fenestration is linked per story. Right, then going into just the idea here, if you have passed orientation and also have passed shading, then you've got certain relaxation on fenestration. The first being, if the floor area that you have currently of your internal rooms versus the fenestration elements of that story, if that ratio is less than 15%, then you comply with fenestration. However, if it's over 15%, then you need to do the fenestration, or if either orientation or shading fail, then you still need to do fenestration, regardless of the 15% check. Alright, so going into the fenestration, here is the first thing that you need to do is looking at the floor areas. So I can add room 1 to 10 and add their areas, or if it's a square room or rectangular, I can say length and width. If it's a round room, I can add an area, or I can say this is the total story area. So I can say, outside of SANSCalc, go and calculate that, bring it in here, and say save. Alright, that then gives me the allowable conductance and solar heat gain for that story. Right, then I go over to the fenestration elements, and remember, roof lights are also a fenestration element, so it gets added to the 15% check. Now what's handy about this is we've got an area here where you can exactly see what's happening versus the net floor area, which we just did, and the window areas. Remember, this is the window area that we added in shading that appears here if I go to the window area. Alright, so there's that north facing element that we did under the shading of the northern wall. We can just go and edit that guy, adding certain glazing elements in here, say single clear aluminium. Alright, so once that's then done, I can either go and copy this element, and once you copy it, Obviously this may be in the south facade. Also the mark is just changed slightly, so I'm going to just say copy. Created another copy, so sorry, I was going to edit that one, and I say this is window 2 and it's south facing. Save that, and then this one is maybe also south facing, so that's now window 3 and it's also south facing, and I'll go and say save. Right, once that's now done, you've got a certain conductance and solar heat value for the natural. Also, we've seen that a lot of manufacturers have started creating their own and supplying their own values for glazing elements. So we've decided we can also we're going to add a facility for you to put in your own custom glazing element. So here I can say, right, there's a eco element, enviro element. I'll go and say save that, go to the custom frame, add a new frame element, and I'll go and give it a name. Once you've added glazing and a frame, you go and add a custom component using the two values that I've just created. So there's the glazing and there's the frame type, and yeah, I can now go and say, right, this one is 0.5 and that one 0.8 perhaps. So the solar heat gain. So I save that. So once it's now in this system, you can go back to your building and then go and use that as a fenestration glazing element type. Right, so I go back to natural and windows, and over here I can perhaps edit window 3. It pops it into the top here, and I can use the Enviro EAC as a custom, and over there as custom as well. Save that. Once it's saved, you can you'll notice that the values have changed accordingly, and I might have a better values here at the bottom. Right, so for time's sake, I'm just going to leave it at that. Just one or two things that I could add is the multi-select. These buttons here, as soon as I click them, it's then a multi-select. So whatever I now go and edit here at the top will apply to these two rows. For instance, I can change the glazing type to double clear aluminium, and if I go and say apply, that will then just apply to those two windows over here. Alright, once that's done, I can go to the doors and the glazed doors and the glazed walls, exactly the same. Just on the mechanical side, if I just explain that, going over to the mechanical, I can firstly, with mechanical, if you're going to install air conditioning in your building, you have to do mechanical ventilation. If you don't have mechanical ventilation installed in your building, you might skip it. Right, maybe in future your building needs or is going to have finished air conditioning, so it's good to just do it in any case. So just explain, there's my first wall. This wall is perhaps north facing, so it's got an internal height from floor to underside of ceiling, and then maybe a length, and I'll go and say finish. Again, I don't have to add the area because it's calculated based on the length and the height. Right, I'm just going to do another one, wall 2 perhaps. This one is now south facing. Again, the 2.6. The length may be the same, and I'll go and say save. Right, so these two facades have now been added. Now critically here, I need to then tie in my fenestration elements like the windows to these facades. So I go to the window, and it lists all the previous elements that I've added in the shading module and natural environmental control. However, the facade number is opened up here, which I can then go and add. Maybe these two windows are north facing, so I select them and I go and say they're north facing, and I say apply. Right, once that's now applied, this guy I can just simply go in on the right hand side, go and edit, and go and say, right, this one is maybe south facing, and I go save. Right, so that's now set up. I've linked these fenestration elements to a facade which was previously set up over there, and that's basically what I need to do in the mechanical side. Alright, so that's basically done, the fenestration. Obviously I need to go and do my other stories as well. Just going over to the other modules, the services lighting. If I go in there, this is basically the area where I add in all my my light fittings. Maybe there is 12 downlighters, each one has got an 11 watt element, and based on my occupancy I've got a certain hours and weeks in a day, in the week, and then that you can edit. This currently just defaults to the tables from SANS, so I'm going to just save that, lock it in, and it sits over here. Right, what this then does, it gives me a energy demand and a energy consumption, annual energy consumption. So basically, if I've got it allowed total here based on the floor area, and then this total is based on my calculations that I just did here, the wattage. Right, so you go and add. As soon as the wattages exceed the allowable, you'll get a flag, and you can go and perhaps change the wattage of the bulbs, and it will comply. Right, then hot water. Right, the critical one here is 50% of your supply of hot water you need to needs to be generated by renewable resources. So we just need to calculate what is that. So based on now my occupancy, which was I think H2, I need to add in the this is the factor. So because of my floor area, I've got a certain factor, and I've got then so many people based on my floor area. So I can go and edit that. I'm going to leave it as that because it comes from the standard documents, and I just need to then go and I think it was a dormitory. I was going to say it's a medium rental accommodation type. This is the occupancy building class. There's the pipe sizes. I go save. So based on the minimum and maximum liters needed per person per day, it calculates what I need, and then 50% of what I need to supply with renewable resources. Right, per day, and then per annum with the minimum max, because there's two values over there. Right, then there's also something about the pipe sizes, the R values that I need to be insulated, those pipes with external pipes. Alright, then I'll go over to floor. Right, with floor, basically this is now the ground story, the gross floor of your ground story. Now in my case, I maybe have only one story, so the gross of my building is equal to the ground story. If you obviously have a multi-story building, that would be different. There's a 500 cutoff. In the SANS document explains that. Right, so once you've added your area, you can say what your building, what construction your building is like. Typically that's like a ground floor concrete. This is perhaps a wooden suspended floor. Anyway, so I've done that. No underfloor heating, so it just now returns right, I'm in zone 5, so I actually don't have any requirements. I'm in Durban. As soon as you're in a different climate zone, it has different installation requirements that will list over here at the bottom. I could go and just do a little test, going to my project, and I'll go and edit my my area, maybe add it to Port Elizabeth. I'll go save. and I'll then go back into that floor area. Right, what it should do is it should just update the calculations and give me different requirements for that specific climate zone. Alright, so then I go into the wall area. This is where you define what wall constructions you've got. Non-masonry or masonry. If you say masonry and you save, it opens up what type of masonry wall you have, and you can say, right, I've got a double skin cavity wall, and you go and say save, and that will then just give you feedback of compliant or non-compliance, right, based on your roof and wall construction. Then the roof module is quite intricate, because what we do is we give you the opportunity of creating layers, and each layer has got a certain thickness and a certain K value, which gives you a resulting R value per layer, and you just add up all the R values of each layer, and if it reaches then the requirement, then you fine. Right, so initially you just need to select which kind of roof you've got, and there's a pitched roof, clay tiles. I go save. And within that, there's a standard from the SANS documents. You've got a standard layout of a ventilated pitched clay roof, and then there's the insulation. Currently, you've got certain directions that the heat flows, or the air flows, and you require 3.7. Now, currently we've got R values here in this column of 0.2 based on the standard ones. So you can now go and delete some of these components. You can go and add standard components if you've got, say, plasterboard. You can also add custom components. Now this is an interesting thing, because you can say, right, I've got felt insulation, or even I've got hardwood or granite or some foam glass or something in my roof that is maybe a certain thickness in meters, so 0.2. Automatically the K value is generated or taken from the engineering handbook, and I'll go and save. That just ties up to there's the plywood to a certain R value, and once you've got that R value, so this is now my roof construction, I'm short basically 1.9 to reach that value. So now I'll go and select the insulation type that I'm going to put in my roof. So select that, and I go and say save. It's got a K value, and it returns the thickness of that specific fiber, flexible ceramic fiber insulation that I need to reach that R value, right, for my roof to pass. Alright, so once that's done, I can go into the infiltration and leakage, and each section has got its own, if you have, say, an external door, or you've got openings, are some of them openable? If so, then tick it. If you've got double doors or so, you tick it, and so on. Maybe I've got external doors that's opening up from a air conditioned space, and maybe, you know, I've got walls within a air conditioned space, external doors. So basically I'll go and then save, and that then gives me certain requirements that I need to adhere to actually comply. Alright, then the maximum energy demand, basically that is net floor area, excluding garages, but including your internal vertical elements. So it's similar to fenestration, where fenestration is just excluding the vertical elements. Here we include it. So I'm going to make, say, 320 floor meters, square meters. So based on that, I then have certain consumptions. These assumptions go and apply to this floor area, and this floor area go and give me the certain demand. Now again, there's nothing here, so let me just go and well, I can't select a different floor area or occupancy. If it says NA, it's not there's no values within the SANS documents that tie into this occupancy. Alright, so that's basically the SANSCalc. If you can generate a report. The report we're still working on, but if I go and select a PDF, basically there you can go and download the PDF, and it gives you certain information on each topic. Alright. Okay, thank you for your time. Hopefully that helped you with the workflow of using SANSCalc online. Thank you.